Welcome to Whining with Edray. With Edray. So in this part of Whining with Edray, I'm going to talk about the wine review, and then after the wine review, I'm going to talk about some subjects, some very controversial subjects that the censors are going to have to be watching very carefully because there are standards and practices for this show. Well, anyway, what I got here is Ravenswood Cabernet Sauvignon, and now I'm going to go ahead and read the back here for a review here. Ravenswood wines are big and unapologetic, crafted for those who refuse to flock to the latest fad. For 30 years, we believed authenticity, craft, and character always trumped the latest trend. Experience our interpretation of Cabernet Sauvignon, a flavor packed full of blackberry, cassie, and a lick of baking spice that nearly bust out of its velvet cage with backbone and structure. This is vented and bottled by Ravenswood Winery of Acampo, California, and this is 13.5% alcohol by volume. Okay, now we're back. Now I'm going to go ahead and review this. So what I'm going to do here is pour this. And now to give it a good sniff here. Okay, so from what I'm getting, this is a very strong flavor like most Cabernet Sauvignons. But will the taste be any good here? Well, let's find out. Well, it ain't too bad. I mean, it's got a little more sweet than bitter taste. It's a little bit strong, like I said, 13.5% alcohol by volume as indicated earlier. Now this does have a good combo of grapes and blackberries and I think it said velvet cage or whatever. I don't know what exactly the flavors are here, but it does say glass full of blackberry. And that's what Cabernet Sauvignon is. It's a combination of grapes and other antioxidant flavored fruits out there, and packed with antioxidants or whatever. But what do I say? I mean, it almost tastes like fresh blackberries with a little bit of a fermented style of grapes out there. So from what I'm going to say, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 for quality flavor. I mean, it ain't perfect, but it has a very good taste. So that is the whining portion of Whining with Edray. Go. Alright, what the first subject is for this episode, this first episode of Whining with Edray on the Opinions in Beer Network. On the Opinions in Beer Network that was created a couple of years ago. I'm going to talk about gardening for a bit because we are in summer, and usually during August, well, in July and August, that's when the main harvest occurs for a lot of gardeners out there. It doesn't matter if you're living in Texas or if you're living in Tennessee or if you're living in Illinois. The big harvest usually comes around July to August because those are the hot months of the year. Now, in this case for me, I've already grown zucchini squash. I've already grown a bunch of other things out there. But the big harvest, I think the most successful harvest already this summertime for me was corn, and I've had 3 varieties of corn grown. I've had glass gem corn, yellow corn, and Hopi blue corn, which is a popular corn in the western area, in the desert areas where the tribes are, like the Hopi tribe of Arizona. That's where the Hopi blue corn was originated. Well, anyway, what happened is that the corn that I harvested and then eventually cooked, most of the corn is not for cooking, but it's actually for grinding up. And then most of the corn is good for grinding up and turning into cornmeal. And then I also have tomatoes growing. I have 4 tomatoes of 4 variety of tomatoes that I grew from seed. And the good majority of them are starting to produce like the Costoluta Fiorentino tomato, or the beefsteak tomato, or the San Marzano tomato, which is the most productive tomato that I have in the garden right now. They're kind of like Roma tomatoes, but they're a little smaller and more pear-shaped than the Roma tomato. The Roma tomato is more of a plum style than a pear style compared to the San Marzano. And yeah, that's pretty much the summary of my garden. I also harvested a few strawberries before it got incredibly hot. And let me tell you something about backyard strawberries. They are a lot sweeter than your supermarket strawberries because the homegrown strawberries are packed with flavor, and they're grown in a very clean environment because I'm not growing it in dirt, I'm growing it in a compost. And usually compost, the fruits and vegetables grow a lot cleaner because compost usually doesn't splash. I mean, if you're using stick mulch, then there you go. You're safe from having to clean the fruits from all the dirt that is usually grown in a traditional style garden. Now, I will explain how to do a permaculture garden sometime in the future episode of Whining with Edray. And if you drink milk, because since milk is white, if you drink milk, you're a racist. Or if you try to make jokes about the past, then you're a racist. I mean, what's next? Are you going to start reading the newspaper and saying, newspapers are made with white paper, and therefore you're a racist? Shut up! I mean, come on. You're telling me that drinking something that's good for our bones and good for our organs is considered racist? Then what the hell are you people eating? I mean, come on. Yeah, I guess this episode of this episode of Whining with Edray is going to get canceled right after this show is over, because the Opinions and Beer Network are going to think that I'm the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh hell yeah!
What the hell?
I'm telling you, it was the communists that originated the term racism to shut down the critics of whatever we have to say. And guess what? If you're not calling anybody derogatory names, then why would you be called a racist? If you are criticizing somebody in an honest way without trying to enrage other people on purpose, then how is that racist? The only thing that is considered racist is if you drop derogatory slurs to somebody else, or if you say that they don't deserve to live in this country for their rights. I mean, come on, man. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech. We have a right to say what we want, contrarily to what the communists think or what Antifa thinks, etc. And yeah, Antifa, I'm looking at you because I'm a fascist and you guys are a bunch of idiots. Come on. You think Benito Mussolini would care about your communist views? And you think Mussolini would allow you to destroy buildings and destroy other things in the name of your ideology? Get real, will you? And that is it. That is episode 1 of Whining with Edray. I hope to find something else to talk about in the near future. Until next time, have a drink, everyone.